are you?
I'm the... Couldn't resist, mate.
Okay, so if you caught on from the Robert video that he did for Capaldi month, yes, I'm taking on the task of reviewing the first proper episode of series 14 of the show, Space Babies. The episode which saw us reintroduced to the TARDIS crew of the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday after a 5-month gap from the search of Ruby Road. But, did it do well in opening up the series to new and wild adventures of series 14, or should we have waited till the Devil's Call later that evening? Well, let's wait no longer and find out. First off the bat, I have to say that Ncuti's Doctor might be the best thing in this episode. Like, seriously, it felt like he hit the ground running from his first scene and then never stopped for anything in his path. Whether it's be his big energy of Ruby throughout the whole episode, mostly to do with the beginning of the story, or his more cuter moments with the Space Babies. His Doctor feels fully formed and ready for any situation, like rescuing butterflies or saving Bogeyman, which I'm glad we were able to see early on in this run. If I had to pick out a standout moment for him, it would have to be the sequence where he's hanging on for dear life, and he wants to save the Bogeyman by doing what he does, pushing the button. During this whole episode, we've witnessed his fear being put to the test by meeting the Bogeyman, but by the end, he's been convinced by everybody around him and keeping him around, because it is a living being that was created to put into a monster into the story, which allowed the Space Babies to be kept in check. So, it was great to see him risk his life to show what he does best, saving others by being a doctor, which is what the character is all about in the end. Space Babies is Ruby's first full episode as a companion. I was so convinced that she could do wonders throughout the rest of the series, and that's saying something when the last time I felt this feeling was for Bill all the way back in series 10, after her first adventure in the TARDIS, Smile. I love the fun she exudes in this episode, whether it be from the brief travels in the beginning of the TARDIS, or her taking care of the Space Babies, which I thought was a neat way of showing Ruby caring for other people from her backstory, growing up with other foundlings, or shows what could have happened had the goblins not tried to take Lulabelle in church. But it also shows that she's not a quitter either, despite her getting so many things to show the harshness of travelling the Doctor so early on, such as her brief accidental transformation into Rufon Blue 57th Hemisphere hatchlings, which, by the way, I thought was a really good prosthetic, and can you believe that only took 2 hours to put on? We've come a long way from David Tennant's old makeup taking 4 hours, let me tell you. Or the fact that she gets covered in snot. The great thing about her ignoring these is that she powers through them. She keeps going because she wants to, and the Doctor provides her a way to do so, which I'm glad she does because it means that we can see her evolve in the future for her next adventures. The titular Space Babies of the episode make up the supporting characters of our story here. Before the episode aired, I was a tad worried that this wasn't going to work well, like something in the back of my head was thinking, oh no, Russell may have gone a bit too far this time. But when it aired, it turned out to be one of the better elements of the episode. In the episode, we have a lot of babies shown on screen, but in the episode itself, we mostly focus on 2 of them, Captain Poppy and Eric. Eric is the baby we get to be with the majority of the episode, with him going through a character arc where he musters up the courage to tell off the Bogeyman. And in a way, I was glad that he was able to have this character arc because he was able to build his character up, showing that even if he didn't have to defeat the monster, he was still able to try and face a fear, rather than not having a go at all. Captain Poppy also gets some good moments in the story, most of them being with the Doctor and her. I love her interactions with Ncuti's Doctor, with him giving her a hug because of the lack of compassion she's been shown, or the 2 of them talking about if the babies are wrong, with the Doctor convinced them that they are not, which I think is a great profound moment that the Doctor and Poppy deliver beautifully. Jocelyn in the episode ends up sadly drawing the short straw character-wise. She doesn't get much to do apart from the running gag of the nanny filter with the other characters. I suppose I kind of like how she becomes a bigger presence with the babies as their actual nanny after seeing the interactions with them throughout the episode. But apart from that, there's not really much else to do with her, which is a bit of a shame. I thought the Bogeyman as a monster was a fantastic visual creation, and it ended up being the first monster in about 8 years to actually scare me a little bit. I think the prosthetic and the camera angles it was shot with were some of the main factors to why it became so terrifying to me. But also, I really do like the twist of it, with the programming that it created it in the first place, keeping an old Earth legend continuing, just because the ship wanted to keep it going. That I'd say was a clever move, even if it were to the scientific aspect of it, well, being made of, well, space babies. Bogies! In a way when you come to think about it. So my pick for the best scene of the episode was the scene where the Doctor and Ruby took a look outside the ship's window at Pacifico del Rio. Not only is it Ruby's true first look at an alien planet, but it really shows how far she's come from her time, to the point where she can look out and see how much the universe has progressed from her time. And sure, you can say it's just the end of the world scene where Rose looks out the window and calls up Jackie, but I think this one works for more of the episode than that one, as it has the Doctor looking out for Ruby, making sure that she's okay with the future, whilst allowing her to not lose track on what's the most important element for her at the moment, her family and her friend, the Doctor himself. Now, my least favourite scene would have to be the part where the spaceship blasts its way into the universe by farting out the compressed waste of the space babies.
Excuse me, do you mind not farting while I'm saving the world?
I think my problem with it was that it was a bit of a tonal shift, which felt more at home with CBBC than it did with the whole episode. I think if they had to go with the aspect of letting go of some of the compressed waste, they could have filled it with an air pod with the waste and let it fly off into space. There you could have had the silly moment, which wouldn't have felt out of place, like the one that we have in the episode, which quite frankly stinks. In conclusion, Space Babies was a very fun, here's the first look at Doctor Who episode, kind of like Partners in Crime in a way. It's kind of surprising really that it has become more fun and exciting the more times you watch it, as I do remember not really liking this on my first watch, but I think over the rewatch it has grown on me more and more, and I think it really was one of the better ways to go than having an episode that would have felt perfectly as a mid-season adventure, but not really as a first. And hey, if you wrote it off for the tone and wackiness on your first viewing, I'd advise that you'd have another go of it. You may find something different with your rewatch than you had with your first watch. Anyways, next up is The Devil's Cord, an episode I was really eagerly looking forward to, but you'll have to wait a while to see me again. Not until we get to 73 yards, so stay tuned, because I'll have a lot to say about that one. But, as the old saying goes, I'll be seeing you, my friends.